Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation. And today we are going to present about fricatives of English. So, what are fricatives? Fricatives are consonants with the characteristic that the air escapes through a narrow passage and making a hissing sound. And also, fricatives are continuous sound which means you can continue making the sound without interruption as long as you have enough air in your lungs. For example, when you pronounce the sound S like this, you see? And the most commonly found fricatives is something like the S sound. So what about the others? How many fricatives in English? There are 9 fricative sounds, as you can see on the slide here. Okay, so next, let's move on the articulation of fricatives. Let's look at the table. As you can see, we have the two types is fortis and lentis. Fortis are the voiceless sound and lentis is the void sound. And also, their place of articulation, they are labiodental, dental, alveolar, post-alveolar, and glottal. And you can see here there are 4 fortis and 5 lentis sound. And when you pronounce the fortis, for example, you can see your vocal cord don't vibrate. However, when you pronounce the sound, you see your vocal cord vibrate to produce this sound. So to make it clear, let's deep into consideration of the first labiodental fricatives. This part will presented by Quinn.
Okay, thank you. First are two labiodental phonemes, f and v. They are fricatives. That means that as you push air from your mouth, you use lips and teeth to change the flow of air. In these sounds, lower lip is in contact with the upper teeth. The difference between these sounds is this. F is voiceless and v is voiced. In other words, you shouldn't feel your throat move when you make the F sound, but you should feel it move when you make the V sound. And make sure you are biting down with the correct pressure. And we have some example for you to practice. With with we have fan, fat, fat, live, live. With we have van, very, live. Okay, that's the end of my part. And soon we'll introduce you some other sounds.
Okay, and the next pair of fricative sounds are th and z. There are two ways to make those sounds. The first way, look at the slide, you can see the tongue is normally behind the upper teeth, with the tip touching the inside of lower front teeth smoothly in order that the air can pass through tiny gaps between the teeth and the tongue. The second way is to put your tongue between your upper and lower teeth. The tip of your tongue protrudes a little from the mouth, and the air also passes through the gaps between the tongue and the teeth. In general, your mouth shape and tongue position are the same in pronouncing and z. What makes the difference is that vocal cords vibrate for z only, and is a voiceless sound, while z is a voiced 1. You can check it by touching any points in your larynx or putting a paper in front of your mouth. Now, let's practice. Thank, 3, theory, through, z, z, z. This, mother, therefore, though. That's the end of my part, and the next part will be presented by Lanang.
Well, we are going to discover these following sounds: s and z. S and z are alveolar fricatives. There are some features about these sounds. S is fortis or voilous. Z is lanus or void. The air escapes through a narrow passage along the center of the tongue. The sound is comparatively intense. For example, rise and rice, sip and zip. And now, let's get started with the pronunciation of the first sound. S. Look at the left picture. There is some contact between the tongue and the teeth at the side of your mouth. There is no voicing, vibration from the throat. Target sound. S, s, s. For example, class, class, bus, bus, stop, stop. Next, look at the right picture. There is some contact between the tongue and the teeth at the side of your mouth too. Z is different from s because there is voicing, vibration from the throat. You can put your fingers on the larynx to feel that. Target sound. Z, z, z. For example, husband, husband, easy, easy, you, you. That's all. We are going to the next part presented by Zoom.
Okay, so now we've moved to the two post-alveolar fricatives. These two sounds take the same mouth position, and they are sh and sh. Sh is unvoiced, meaning only air passes through the mouth, and sh is voiced, meaning you make sound with the vocal cords. To make these sounds, the teeth come together, the corners of the lips come in, and the lips flare. It is rounded, and the front middle part of the tongue is very close to the hard palate, but not touching it. The tongue tip points forward, but doesn't touch anything. Now we move to some examples. First is the sound sh. We have some example here. Shop and wish. With the second sound z, we have decision, decision, and usually. Okay, now we move to the last fricative, glottofricative. This sound is produced differently than other fricatives, since it doesn't involve the tongue or the teeth as articulators. For this sound, the sole articulator is the glottis, which is the opening between the vocal folds. As you can see in the image, this sound doesn't have a specific mouth shape, but it normally takes the shape from the following sounds. To make this sound, constrict your throat, breathe out through your mouth, and don't vibrate the vocal cords. Now let's practice. Home, home, ho,
ho. Okay, it's the end of our presentation, and we hope that everything is clear for you. And thank you for listening.